Hello, good afternoon, everybody. We are about to start. Please take your seats. So hello and welcome to this year's Residents Conference, which is part of our week-long Residents Festival. And I'm just going to introduce a few things before I hand over to Liz, our chair, and Vic, our chief exec, who are going to talk you through their review of the year. I think the first thing to say is that the format for this event is a bit different. So it's amazing that we've got some customers with us in the marquee today. Lovely to see you. Hopefully we've got a few more coming along as well later on. And this is the first time really we've had customers in a room with us because of COVID and lockdown, so it's lovely to see you all. We're also broadcasting this live on Facebook and YouTube and Slido, and we should have some people there watching us live. And also, we will be packaging all of this up and posting it on Facebook and YouTube next week. So maybe you'll be watching this in a few weeks' time. However you're joining, it's brilliant to have you here. And the whole point of this exercise is to get you more involved in how we run the business. And today, you can see that we're using a different structure, which is aligned to the recent charter that the Regulator of Social Housing launched. So this Charter for Social Housing is a really important thing for us and for you. And today we've structured the conference, both today and tomorrow, around the 7 key parts of the Social Housing Charter. And this is something that we really want to discuss with you. That's the point of most of what you're going to hear about today and tomorrow. There are, of course, other ways that you can get involved with how we run this business. And this is our menu that we offer. There's a number of different things that you can do, which are either face-to-face when we can, or digital. And we have specialist groups on things like disability and estates and complaints. And we also have residents associations and other ways that you can get involved with us. And one of the final things that we do is we do a Facebook Live every month. And this week, we'll be doing one on Friday evening. Victor and myself will be doing that session. And that's another opportunity for you to ask us questions and get involved. So please, if you're not aware of this, please have a look on our website or talk to the team and see what else there is that you might want to help us with by becoming more involved. That's the point of all of these sessions that we have with you. So I'm now going to hand over to Liz Potter, our chair, who's going to talk you through her review of the last year. Liz.
Thank you. Paul, can I have the counter?
Sorry.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's really good to see you. It's the most extraordinary thing, having not been in Bath and not being able to see all of you for quite a long time, and I guess it must feel the same for you. So it's great that some of you are here, and it's really good that we're going to be able to welcome people in different ways by doing this mix of digital and face-to-face. So it's lovely we've got an audience here today, but the digital stuff that Paul talked about will actually ensure that people can listen live and also they can listen later. And that means that we reach a much wider audience. So I think we'll carry on doing things like that going forward. So I just wanted to remind you why we do these events. It's an opportunity for you to hold us to account. And I'm really well aware of that. Because I invited you to do that several years ago. It's also an opportunity for you to meet some of the senior people and experts, particularly on things like safety, and to understand more about some of those things. And it's an opportunity for you to work with us to help improve our services. And we really need you to do that because we don't necessarily see the things that you see. So the more you work with us, the easier it is for us to understand what it is we need to do to improve. I'm going to talk through the major themes for the year, and I'm going to talk about the board perspective on performance, and I'm going to talk about how we've tried to improve. Inevitably, the whole background of COVID has made it more difficult this year. It's made it more difficult for everybody, so it's not an excuse, but actually it has made it more difficult, and there have been some things that we haven't been able to do as well as we wanted to. But I am pleased with the progress that we have managed to make, and I'm just going to talk you through some of those issues. So, safety is always and has always been really, really important. And it's become even more so during the pandemic. We've had to have teams wearing PPE, we've had to change working practices to keep everybody safe and to reduce risk. And some of those things have meant that everything's taken a bit longer. And so had to be some changes on what we can actually physically do. So we've had to change the way we do repairs, we've had to change the way we do lettings, we've had to change the way we do home improvements and mutual exchanges. So I want to thank you for your patience during this, because it's not been the easiest, but we've managed to maintain as much as we possibly could during that time. We've also had to ask for your patience in terms of doing the safety checks that we have to do and that are really vital for everybody's safety. So the gas and electricity certificates and the fire safety checks, we have to do those things. And so you enabling us to get that access has really been helpful. So thank you for that. At long last, fingers crossed, we hope to be able to open up a little bit more. We hope to be able to do appointment-only meetings in the office, and we hope to have more colleagues in. And all of that depends on what infection rates are doing, but not everybody wants to do digital stuff, and it will actually make some things easier. So we're hoping that we can do that, but obviously safety has to be paramount. Paul mentioned the Charter for Social Housing. It was in the white paper a year ago, and the conference agenda is actually built around the structure of that white paper, the structure of the Charter. So we want to hear from you on all of those topics, so that there are a variety of things like be safe in your home, know how your landlord's doing, complaints, the right to be treated with respect, having your voice heard by the landlord, and having a good quality home and neighbourhood. So we're going to be working through some of those issues today, and we do want to hear people's views on all of those things, because that will help us to get it as right as we can. We've already been working with quite a lot of the resident groups on some of the changes we might want to make, particularly the complaints review panel and the oversight group, where actually they've been really helpful in terms of starting to make some changes, and what you contribute today will add to that. We always say that building safety is a massive priority. I haven't turned on the thing, have I? We always say that building safety is a massive priority, and actually that continues to be the case. And we have now a property strategy which is going to invest in our homes as far as we are able, and we need to work with you on that one as well to make sure that we're investing wisely, and to give you the assurance that you need in terms of keeping your home safe. So please make the most of the opportunities today, get involved and help us to improve. A few years ago, at a residents' conference, it became really clear to me that we were saying that we were better than we actually were. And so I said, actually, we've got to stop doing that. We've got to be honest and say when we've fallen down and we've not done as well as we could. And I've also really wanted everyone, all of us at Curo, to listen and to hear from you, and then to make the changes that we can make so that we're delivering our promises to you. Now, in doing that, I think we've got better at being a bit more honest, I hope anyway. The pandemic's had a big impact. As I said, it's not an excuse, but we have managed to maintain most of our services. There have been a few delays and some changes, but actually we've managed to maintain most of them. We transferred all our resident groups onto digital, which was brilliant because that's meant that we've been able to keep in touch with people and to hear from people. So that's great, and we're hoping to be able to have a bit more flex in terms of what else we're allowed to do, because that's not everybody's favourite, I know. We've set up 2 new services. One service for customers who are struggling with money, and another one which is called the Navigator Service, which is for people who've got complex needs to help them in terms of how they engage with Curo and get what they need. So I think those are quite exciting. I think we've also worked with the oversight group to repurpose it and to build it up a bit more so that it already was doing a good job and now it's able to do more. So they already reviewed performance and they already scrutinised particular aspects of the service that they felt were falling down. And now we've got them also involved in challenging us in terms of improving our new strategies in terms of customer experience and in terms of property. Just some examples from the really, really good scrutiny reports that they've been on antisocial behaviour, on customer accounts and, God, I can't read what that one says. Minor works, that's what it says. Sorry. The lights are very dazzling, it doesn't help. But they've been really helpful reports and they have driven improvement. So one thing is that we now contact everyone who's got an open antisocial behaviour case at least every 2 weeks so that they get an update and they know actually what's happening next. And the other one is that we are publishing more information more frequently, which we're doing it on the website and we're doing it on social media. And from next month, we'll be publishing that information monthly. So that is all, in response to the things that were in those scrutiny reports. So continuing on delivering our promises, there were 3 key themes that came out. There was another one which Vic will talk about, but there were 3 key themes that have come out during the year. Top of them is always communication, because we need to get better and better at that. And it's now the top priority in our new customer service strategy to keep you better informed, both when you book a repair, but also to make sure that we've improved our IT systems so that our colleagues have better information that they can access to be able to help you. In terms of repairs delays, I would love to be able to say that that's marvellously solved, but it isn't. We've had an agile project working on that, which is a thing that tries to really look at something from its fundamentals and change it quite quickly to see what works. And as a result of that, we've redesigned the service and there are 60 to 70 more repairs possible each week as a result of that. In the longer term, that will pay off. At the moment, we've got a backlog from when we were less able to do services during lockdown, and also a lot more repairs have come in. It's suddenly mushroomed, so that we've got to work through all of that and we're putting more resources into it. But we do believe that actually that will make quite a big difference, the changes we've made fundamentally, once we've been able to work through that backlog. Service charges, we've still got a long way to go. It's quite a complex procedure. The team's working on a project on that now to improve it, particularly in terms of cost estimates and the quality of services. So you will see more on that one soon. At last year's conference, you actually challenged us to be more visible away from Bath. Yet again, I'm afraid I'm going to say that's one of the ones where we didn't quite manage to do it because of the pandemic. But we will do it. It's just had to be a bit delayed. You also wanted us to focus much more on leaseholders. So we now have a leaseholder engagement group, which has met several times. And if anybody is not on it and would like to be part of that group, then please do join, and the details are on the website. You challenged us to explain how we organised our resident groups and how you could get involved with those. And we've done a lot more on that. So the menu you've seen, but also we've got it up on notice boards and things like that, so you can see it all over the place about how you can get more involved. And you wanted minimum standards for the homes that we let. And again, that one's not complete, but the changes have been made So you should start to see the changes from the end of the year. I don't want to sound like a prolonged apology with all of these, but I think one of the things that has been difficult over lockdown is we haven't been able to do all the things that we would have liked to have been able to do, so there's a bit of a delay factor. And the last one was to explain how we meet disability requirements for new homes. We have started work on that. We have been discussing it with the Disability Action Group. We have been talking to Baines about it. And again, more will follow on that one. So some delays, but we are working through on those things, and you will start to see those improving, I hope. Finally, we've worked with a group of residents to refresh those two important strategies I told you about, both the customer experience one and the property one. And there are some big targets in there over the next 5 years. They are challenging, and they will start to make a difference. So all the things that I've been talking about, all those improvements have been built into those strategies, and we will be reporting the programme to the Resident Oversight Group, and they will hold us to account. So where does the board fit in all of this lot? Well, one, we're there to stand back and to challenge on all of this lot, and we've continued to meet regularly, virtually, for 18 months now. We actually met face to face for the first time yesterday, which was really quite exciting because we just haven't been able to. We have got 3 new board members who've got great skills, and they've strengthened the board. And I'm going to make Helen wave. Will you wave? Yeah, Helen is one of those. And I know that a number of the other board members will be watching it digitally so that they can hear from what our residents are saying. So we have done quite a lot of challenging, and we want to continue to do that in terms of the work we do as a board. But also we've had one board connect in April, where we virtually met a number of customers, and we're looking to refresh the way we do Board Connect so that we can hear from more customers, and there'll be a revamped version of Board Connect, which is a way of some customers meeting us as a board, so we hear directly in November. But I think above all, we've missed being able to come out and visit. We all got jealous when the new board members were allowed to go on a visit, and it was all outside, but we were like, oh, can't we come too? I think we've missed being able to get out and to talk to people and to hear from you, and I'm hoping, pandemic permitting, that we will be able to do more of that, because we need to have that connection with you and to hear from you directly. And I know I've talked a lot about the impact of the pandemic, and I don't want to see it as an excuse. It obviously has made a big impact, and we're not through it yet. We know that the impact of both the economy and COVID is going to continue to impact on so many customers, both in terms of health and in terms of the financial well-being. So as a board, we've talked about poverty and affordability once, and we're going to come back to that topic. I can't promise miracles because we don't get, huge amounts of cash from government that we can sort of suddenly wave a magic wand with, but we will do what we can. And I think if I were to sum up my own report to you, I would say as a school report, it's some good work, but could do better. We could always do better, and we are committed to carrying on and working to do better. As a board, we're committed to hearing more from you and to respond to you, and we're expecting more improvements over the next year. Some of the many things that have gone on during lockdown, some of the hard work in terms of how to redesign services and things like that will start to come through. So I want to end by thanking all of you for all the work that you've done to contribute and to help with that. All your involvement does really make a difference, and we want to show you that it makes a difference. So thank you, all of you, and now I'm going to hand over to Vic.
Hello, everyone. It really is nice to see humans. It really is. I've got about 10 minutes, I think, just to take you through three things. So my own sort of reflections on the year we've had, which you won't be surprised, mirrors a lot of what you've already heard Liz talk about. But from my perspective, give you a sense of what I think the last year's been like. A quick pause to reflect on how we're spending our money and how we're allocating our money, and then really about what this year and the year ahead is about. So that's what I'm intending to do. The first thing to say is we have got hard copies of this, but they are also all online. We have got a range of different information booklets. So we've got our annual report to tenants, we've got a new report on the impact we have on our communities and in terms of our sustainability agenda. We also got how we're performing on complaints, which is not a spoiler when I say not as well as it should be, as well as the work we've been doing with residents to improve services, our resident involvement annual report. So you can see all of those online, and if you want to grab a copy of that information, there's also copies available for those of you who are here. And the year, how would I characterize the year? Well, I think the year was a tough year. I mean, it was a tough year individually for each of us, and I think it was tough on us as an organisation. None of us could have expected last March for what happened to happen, really, quite frankly. A start and stop, trying to make sense every day of what we couldn't do. All I know is at the time, there were moments when I genuinely thought we wouldn't be able to carry out emergency repairs and emergency safety servicing. But thankfully we did. That was the priority. We wanted to keep our customers safe and we wanted to keep our colleagues safe. And getting that balancing act right was tough. But I think ultimately, if I was to characterize the year, I was hugely relieved that we successfully managed to keep you safe and our colleagues safe, because it was not easy, I can assure you. And I'm also well aware there are people, if not here, and possibly here, but certainly online, that are going to be quite cross with us because we didn't do some things. And I'm sorry if that's the case. Generally, I'm sorry. It isn't because we set out in the morning to make life difficult for customers. It was just incredibly difficult. And I know we let some of you down. And it's part of what we now need to do is to build that trust over that we might have lost certainly in that year, but possibly before, because our priority is to make sure we do build that trust and we do deliver the promises we've made. So I'm going to be around. If you've got any issues you want to talk to me, please do. Colleagues are around. But don't forget, you can always contact us afterwards too if you have got ongoing issues that we need to be made aware of. I've already said that we have not been very good at complaints management. It's one of my biggest frustrations that we've not managed to change culturally the organisation, the way we respond. Recognise there's a complaint, respond to the complaint, but really, really importantly, how we learn from those. I just don't think as an organisation we're not getting that right, and I recognise that, and it's a priority. It's something that I personally am getting very involved with, because I do think it's fundamentally, we live in the real world, things go wrong. We can't stop things going wrong, but what we can do is to deal with it quickly and learn from it, and that's the key thing that we need to get better at in the next year or so. So I'm sort of giving you a flavour of also the priority for the year ahead. The year, I think one of the biggest issues for us was that you were overall, as customers, so reasonable and accepting of the circumstance. We actually saw overall satisfaction improve over that period. I'm enormously grateful for that. We were recognised what we've done in that period is store up work that we now need to deliver, and we beg your patience as we recover some of those delays. The customer accounts team, which is a team that deal with collecting rent, have done an amazing job because their priority really focused on supporting residents through the pandemic. There were points where people didn't know if they had a job. Furlough scheme came along, the extra UC payments came along. It sort of went okay in the end for a lot of people, but I know for many of our customers it was really, really scary and really worrying, and the emphasis that our colleagues in the customer accounts team placed on supporting and caring for people made an enormous difference, and they've got enormous levels of resident satisfaction because of the approach they took. And I know they worked so hard to avoid evicting anyone, and I think they managed to do that for rent arrears because of the caring attitude they took. I'm going to pause only on repairs backlog because I'm conscious that time's ticking down against me here, and just recognise that we did focus on urgent and emergency repairs. The consequence of that, don't forget we had 2 lockdowns post-Christmas, was that we have got very significant backlogs in repairs. It's probably the most important thing we need to focus on. I'm going to come back to this because I just want to talk about the year ahead and then come back on money. So the year ahead has to be how we recover backlogs. And as I say, if you are cross with us at the moment for not doing something, please bear with us. We will recover these backlogs, but it will take us the best part of the next 6 months to do so. We've got about 3,000 open orders. We have the added complexity of shielding and still isolation from time to time, so with our own colleagues and with residents. But it's a commitment we are making here. We are putting extra investment in providing additional resources for our maintenance team and colleagues to recover those backlogs. But it is obviously a very significant priority for us. The other thing to say is that we are going to be experimenting, and in Twerton we're already doing this, with improving the thermal efficiency. Here we've got a photograph of a robot that we're currently piloting in Twerton to try and inject insulating material under the floorboards of dwellings so that we don't have to make a mess of people's homes effectively, and try to insulate the bottom through actually not an intervention in the home. We're piloting this, we're piloting a whole range of new technologies to try and improve the thermal efficiency of a home, to reduce the running costs and improve obviously the energy efficiency of all of our homes. So we're going to be doing that this year. We experimented with caretakers. I was so pleased. Caretakers have made such a difference. In the estates that caretakers have been in, we've seen a 20% improvement. I know there's residents here that benefited from the caretaking service. It's been universally well received by the residents. We are going to extend it out through all of our estates now, bring it all in-house, run the entire thing ourselves over the next year or so. Lettings have been mentioned. That's the way we let our empty homes. Big piece of work being done there, not only to make the processes simpler for residents and colleagues, but also the quality of that home. And then broadening the range of services on our customer accounts team. I've already told you the sort of collection where care approach that team has taken. But obviously what's coming, we've got furlough coming to an end. We've got the UC £20 top up also due to come to an end. We're very well aware that this is not going to be an easy period for some, and if not a significant proportion of our residents. So improving and broadening the range of services in that team is going to be important to support you through the next year or so. But I do want to end, because I'm conscious of time, on the way we're allocating our money. So the big message here is that the vast majority of the pound we get of rent, 68p in every pound goes in services, whether that's in property or other related services for customers. 25p in the pound goes in building new homes. So we build around 300 new affordable homes a year, so that pays for that. And then 7p for the interest that we have on our loans. So you can see the vast majority is on services. And it's always a balancing act, certainly at the board, around how you make sure that you get the balance right between investing in existing homes and services, but also building for what is thousands of people on the waiting list. And getting that balance right is a tough one. But I think that shows the vast majority of the priorities goes to our existing stock. This will be the single largest year of investment in our existing homes in my 11 years at Curo. It's £24 million is going into our stock this year. It's an increasing and has been an increasing number, and will continue to be the priority in the next few years. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to hand back to Paul, because we've got a lot on the agenda this evening, and we have got a Q&A later on as well.